Here's the largest of the 4 Grammostola pulchripes, the Choco Golden Knee that I have. This one is unsexed. I actually got this one in 2015, I think. Well, or maybe it was 2016. May have been early 2016. And she hasn't molted for me, or he has not molted for me yet. Not one of my best eaters. Definitely prefers crickets over worms. This particular one is about 5 inches, I would say. Most of the time, I'm gonna say it's a female. Most of the time, she lets me hold her. She's a sweetheart most of the time. But just like with all the spiders I have, I test their mood first. But yeah, I really like her. She's sweet. And so like I said, she hasn't molted for me yet, so I don't have an official sex yet. But hopefully in the not too distant future. But yep. Alright, moving on. Here is my highly skittish Nhandu chromatus, the Brazilian black and red, or red and black, whatever it's called. White striped bird eater, another common name. This is probably my 4th largest spider in my collection, currently. Female. She gives threat postures pretty regularly. So, needless to say, I do not handle her. She just ran like crazy around the enclosure when I was trying to open the lid. Fairly good eater, I'd say mostly. But I believe she's in pre-molt. But, I don't know, it just seems like it's too soon for her to molt, but maybe I'm just forgetting. Anyway, yeah, she's one of my crazy ones. She's about 6 inches. She's pretty large. But yes, definitely one of my craziest spiders. Oh man, I always expect her to crawl on my lap every time I open up the enclosure. She's crazy. One of my favorites though. Alright, moving on. Here is the other, the larger one of the 2, Aphonopelma seemanni, Costa Rican zebra, that I have. Unsexed, never has molted for me, although I suspect at this size that if it was a male, it would have already hooked out by now. I'm thinking. I could be wrong. I'd say this one's about 4 inches, about 4.5 maybe. So perhaps this is a female. We'll call it a suspect female, I guess. But yes, still in pre-molt. A very long, months-long pre-molt. You don't see this one much because going through the huge molting fasting period. Colors are very drab looking right now, of course. And of course loves to dig. Now this one's quite moody, so I only handle this one rarely. She's kind of like my bee baggins, you know. Sometimes she'll let me, but a lot of times she doesn't. So, yeah. She's not as mean as my smaller one, though. Alright. Go and do whatever you were doing. Great diggers. And here is my other Lasiodora parahybana, salmon pink bird eater. I have 3 of these, and this one is about the same size as the other one you saw just a few teas back. Unsexed, but wouldn't be surprised if it was a female. But honestly, I don't know. Very hair flicky, just like my other one, and you can't tell, but the bottom, the backside of her is quite bald. And she was kicking hair like crazy when I was trying to open the lid. Yeah. So there she goes. Oh, you gonna show us your bum? Yeah. Fill a draft, huh? Serves you right. Another good eater, just like the other one. Alright, moving on. Here's my very sweet Brachypelma albopilosum, the Honduran curly hair. This is the larger of the 2. that I have. This one's about 4.5 inches. I got her back in 2011 and she was only 2 inches, maybe even less than that. And so that's where she is now. Slow growing, of course, it's a brachy. Is a mostly good eater, but has its moments where it isn't in the mood. This one's very docile. Has only shown defensiveness maybe once. But yeah. But I think that was because she was about to molt. Or so, I don't remember when it was. But, yep. She's a sweetheart, really. Had her a long time. And these guys live to be, what, late 20s? Did they make it to the early 30s? I'm trying to remember. But anyway, they are definitely one of your longer lasting or long-lived spider. Yep, pleasure to have. Curly hairs are adorable. Alright. For those of you who have been watching me for a long time, recognize this one as being my favorite of all of my spiders because she was my very first one. Got her in the summer of 2011. And she was only, well, she was a subadult then. These guys are very slow growing, so I don't even know if she's considered an adult yet. I don't know. She's about 4.5 inches too. But, yes, I just adore her. She lets me hold her most of the time, but she can have her mood swings. This is the Grammostola porteri, the normal color form of the Chilean rose. Yep, had her all this time. Not one of my best eaters. She does indeed go on these little fastings. In fact, there was one time she fasted for an entire year. Yeah, they're known for that. So don't let that scare you if yours does this. Alright, let's move on. Here is the second largest Grammostola pulchripes, chocolate golden knee in my collection, second of 4. This one's about 4 inches or so. He's very leggy, so he's really looking like a male, but unsexed, never molted for me. But yeah, this one has a voracious appetite and quite skittish, though I don't ever handle this one. This one has just proven to me more than once that it doesn't really care to be handled, so we're just going to respect this one's wishes and not handle. But great eater though. Man, these guys are just so cool. Alright, let's move on. I had to take her cave out so you could see her. This is my adult Nhandu coloratovillosus, the Brazilian black and white. She's very hair flicky and very skittish, so do not handle her. She's about, I'm thinking 8 or 9 years old by now. So, yep. But I think she's got a few more years on her. Fairly good eater, and just like with my G. pulchripes, really prefers crickets over worms. But yes, another awesome tea to have in a collection. Alright. We'll put her cave back and leave her alone. Here's my unsexed Lasiodora klugi, the Bahia scarlet bird eater, about 4.5 inches. Very feisty when it comes to feeding responses and very skittish. So do not handle this one. And of course, hair flicky, just like the LPs are. But yes, another nice addition to the collection. Alright. Hopefully they'll molt in the not too distant future. Abdomen's not dark enough yet though. Alright, moving on. Here's my Cyriopagopus lividum, the cobalt blue, female. About 4.5 to 5 inches. And just like pretty much all cobalt blues, she is highly defensive, very fast. So, needless to say, I do not handle her, and most of the time she spends her time down in that burrow, but the last feeding video and then now I've caught her out in the open, so that's a nice treat again. a very good eater as well. Definitely not picky either. She will eat just whatever I put down there. But yeah, she's definitely given me quite a few threat postures too. A feisty beast. I love her though. Of course, the lighting is not doing her any justice whatsoever. I'm afraid if I move the enclosure anymore, she'll just dart back into her burrow and then we won't see her at all. But, yeah, she's lovely. Lovely, lovely. Alright, moving on. Here is my Euathlus species green, the green femur, always on the go, although not at the moment. This is my female, and she's about 4.5 to 5 inches as well. Allows me to hold her, but she likes to move around. She's very adventurous, very curious, and I really have enjoyed having her. She's fun to watch. She even likes to crawl on the underside of the lid and hang upside down like that. And then she'll walk on the side of the enclosure and then take a dip in her water dish. Yeah, she's wild. She's interesting to watch, I'll give you that. But yes, she's sweet. Never been defensive. Just a little runny, but never defensive. Yeah. So, and eats really well also. The Euathlus is definitely becoming one of my favorite genuses out there. Okay, let's move on. Here's Large Marge, my largest spider in my entire collection. Theraphosa stirmi, burgundy Goliath bird eater. There's her as she's hovering over her water dish. My guess was getting a drink, and I don't want to bother her, so we're just going to look at her like this. But yep, she's quite runny, and you wouldn't think that spiders this size can run fast, but oh yes they do. And she can be defensive, but I do my best to not provoke her. I never handle her because their hairs are awful and their fangs are huge. So, but she is definitely a star. I love to watch her eat, and so does everybody else. She gobbles up the food, not picky at all. But yeah, she's really cool. She's about 8. She's not even full grown yet, so like 8 inches or so. So yeah. And I call her Large Marge. She's become a fan favorite. Alright, let's move on. And here is my other Theraphosa stirmi, burgundy Goliath bird eater. This one is, I guess, would you still consider it a juvenile at this size? Or maybe it's entering a subadulthood. Anyway, definitely a female. This one here is about, you know what, I was just thinking, my Nhandu chromatus may actually be bigger than this one right now. So this one's probably about 5 inches, 5.5 inches, something like that. But this one here is actually going to a friend. I know you're probably like, well, when are you going to mail the thing? I know, I just keep putting it off, and then it get cold, and then I'm like, oh, it's warm enough now, and then I put it off, and, you know, forget. And so, eventually my friend's getting this one, so. But she's still doing great, and she is an awesome eater, just like Large Marge. There you go. Alright. Here's my Ephebopus uatuman, the emerald skeleton, juvenile, female. This one is about 3 inches. And this one readily throws up threat postures, and very skittish, so definitely do not handle this one. Pretty good eater, I'd say, but the abdomen is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it is indeed that emerald green color. And of course the Cyriopagopus has the same colored abdomen, you know, that greenish color. But yes, I really love this. Let's see if she'll give us a little threat posture here. Yep. And I wanted you to see the green. See, she's mad already. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, get over it. I just had to show you off. Okay? Lighten up. Chill out. Very gorgeous. and very feisty. Look at that. Look at those fangs out. See that? For New Worlds, the Ephebopus and the Phormictopus are the absolute worst with their temperament. Look at that. Oh boy. Typical. Alright, we'll move on. Here's my female Ephebopus murinus, the skeleton, one of the larger of the two that I have. And just like with my uatuman, this one will give threat postures and very skittish, so definitely do not handle this one. She will either burrow deep in the substrate or she hides under this skull, which I had to turn up so we could see her fairly well. But yep, she's crazy, but also a pretty good eater. Alright, we'll move on. Here's my Vinegaroon. This one's only a little bitty thing. Still has some growing up to do. Always is digging, always is burying its water dishes. I don't even know why I keep water dishes in there, because they're just going to bury it. There's two of them buried right there. So yes, I do handle this one pretty laid back. I mean, really all talk and no action. Bark is definitely worse than the bite. But these guys can shoot vinegar at you, which it's very acidic like, so, but I don't know what that feels like, so you'll have to ask somebody who has been shot by it. But they really don't, you know, resort to that unless they're just really desperate, but they're really pretty docile overall. But yes, I haven't had this one very long. Actually a very good eater, so that's nice. Seems to really like the crickets. So there we go. I have to say, I have to fill your water dish again. They're really cool. Alright. Unfortunately, this one's not going to be coming out good at all. This is my other pet hole. This is my Cyriopagopus sulawesi, a sulawesi black. These guys are arboreal and get to be humongous. About 10 inches or so. But yes, definitely not to be trifled with. Now this one's only a juvenile, but hopefully we'll get a molt from this one soon. But yes, stays burrowed quite a lot. Can't really see it, but beautiful black spider once it, you know, gets larger. But right now it's more of a brownish color. Alright. Here's my Scolopendra alternans centipede. And this one has really gotten to be quite large since its last molt. But I had to go looking for it, which is why a lot of the substrate is gone. But it was all the way at the bottom. Needed new substrate anyway, so I'm going to do that. In fact, I may rehouse this and put it in a bigger enclosure. I think I may do that. That's something I really look forward to, but as centipedes, of course, move crazily. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that. Almost has a green tint to it. It's strange. Wow. If you look at it in just the right light, strange. Very neat looking though. Yeah. See, how long would this thing be? About 3 inches. Got a ways to go. These guys get pretty large. There we go. My only centipede right now. Alright, moving on. Here are my 4 millipedes. I have 2 of the giant yellow desert Orthoporus ornatus, and then I have the reddish-brown desert. I guess it's just the same except the coloration. And then the one on the far right is just a bumblebee, but I forgot the name of the millipede, the scientific name. It's just the common name's like bumblebee or something like that. But yep, the dark one is the largest, and of course the bumblebee there is the smallest. But yeah, I put leaf litter in there, and their substrate, deep substrate, sticks, and cuttle bone for calcium. And they seem to really enjoy eating bananas and especially cucumbers. So I give them that a lot. But And of course they love eating the dead leaf litter. So, yep. And I just spray water in there. These guys don't have to have it so damp compared to other millipedes out there. There you go. Alright, I think all I have left are hermit crabs. How could I forget my Pacman frog? This frog has actually been in hibernation. Seems to be awake now, but I think it's because I had it too cool in here, so I had to move the frog closer to the space heater so that he or she could warm up. So yeah, hasn't eaten in a long time. Let's see, how long has it been? Several weeks. I mean, maybe even 2 or 3 months. So yeah, it was in hibernation, and I think it's finally starting to warm up. But I'm going to attempt another feed, and hopefully it'll eat finally. But I was really getting worried there for a while, because even after I'd, thought I was warming the frog up and everything, it's just still was sleeping. So I don't know. Any of you Pacman frog experts out there, I know you're supposed to keep it on the warm side, and their substrate needs to be moist, and it is, and it's now, I keep it warmer in here, so, but anyway, he or she's alive, at least. But I've also heard that in order to, I've read somewhere that you're not supposed to bother a frog that's in hibernation, but I've also read somewhere that you can put them in like a warm, bath, kind of like, to help sort of bring them out of the hibernation. But let me know if any of you guys know your experience on it. I'm pretty new when it comes to caring for this, my only frog, first frog I've ever had, so let me know, please. Alright, thank you. Let's take a look at my hermit crabs, and then that will be it. Here's my hermit crab setup. Oh yes, and I have a dog too. I actually have a normal pet, as some people would say. It's not much to look at right now. I'm going to add more to it, but it has very deep eco-earth, damp, very damp, cocoa fiber substrate like I use for my spiders. They have to have humidity in here or they will die. So you have to make sure the humidity levels are up to par. I only have 4 right now. The fresh water is kept in there, and I see they need a refill on their salt water. And then you put a bunch of empty shells in here for them to change shells out as they grow. They get bigger, they need bigger shells. Plus they just like to do it for fun. But there's one up there, 2 right there. Let's see, where's the other one? That one's empty. Oh, there he is right there. Yeah. So, yeah, only 4 right now. And then I usually put their food in that corner right there. I give them hermit crab food. But sometimes I give them eggs, like boiled eggs. And I will also give them like the little bitty shrimp things that you can buy in the hermit crab food section. But yeah, just give them a variety of food. They're scavengers, so they're not very picky. But there you go. And I have many more shells I can add to it. Like I said, I'm just going to be adding more to it. But yep. So there's my hermit crab enclosure. Have to keep it very humid, which is why I have this type of tub. Holds in the humidity much better. So, yep. Alright guys, well, I'm sorry that some of my videos were a little blurry in the middle of this whole tour. I was having technical difficulties with this camera, but hopefully I made up for it by having much clearer footage after that. So I hope you enjoyed this. Oh, he just fell down. And I hope I didn't bore you too much. Alright, thanks for watching, guys.